the Taos Institute is coming together now with a tractor and Middlesex University in England to generate a master's program on relational leading. So potential leaders in this country can then work with a tractor and work with us toward a 2-year master's degree in relational leading that Middlesex will grant. Now what happens towards the end of the 20th century is this enormous change in the world context in which the technologies of communication and transportation become such that you have just a global flow of information, ideas, images, values, and so on, all moving. They move what people want, what they value. They bring more surveillance to the organization about what's happening. They provide more innovations. Always you're being undermined by some other innovation in some other country and by some other group. They lead to innovation in the organization. If you have half a mind open to what's happening in the world, you say, hey, I can put this together with this, and something can happen. Now, under those conditions, that old traditional model of a machine, fixed, input, output, it just doesn't function any longer. You've got to have something in the way of a flexible organization which takes in information, which is cued into what's happening in a way they can innovate, which begins to think ahead of the crowd of where things are going. And that means you can't have a fixed organization. Now what happens at that point for a lot of us, because we do work in what's called social construction, which is the processes of making meaning together within an organization, the metaphor shifts. You shift from the machine to kind of a process-like, continuous process of meaning making within relationships. So if you understand the organization as an enormous array of processes, you can't control it. That is, you can't control, for example, a conversation. You can say something as a leader, for example, but you don't really have control over what's said next. You may say it from the top, but you don't have control over the ways in which it may be interpreted throughout the organization and what people do with it. So the point here was to reconceptualize leadership as a moving with, as an entrance into and a flowing with those processes. I mean, if you're in the old tradition, you're hired and fired to do a particular job and you're evaluated on it. In some sense, it's not being a full participant in the organization, it's being, we hire you to do this. No, we hire you to do this. So your whole definition of yourself is, I am simply employed here to do a job, and if they don't like it, I'll be fired. But it's not a sense of belonging, and it's not a sense of inspiration about doing anything. It's not like you're called on to help, think, act with us. It's more like a me-you alienation. So for an employee, it calls them into the conversation which creates the future of the organization. It says, hey, pay attention to what's going on. Express your opinion, join in the conversations, and when you join in those conversations, that's when you begin to say, this is fascinating, I want to do this is really interesting. It's kind of more of an expression of you being part of something and having an influence on where it goes.